brilliant win that was, Leicester's. Not one that we expected, but one that was just so enjoyable to watch, Drew Jones. So many things to pick apart in relation to the victory. The coach got it spot on. Some players had their biggest ever games for the club. And the pressure in the last quarter is not something we have ever seen before, and that's pretty much proven via the stats.
Hello, Garby. Nice to see you, or nice to be with you. I would love to see you in person. And I'm looking forward to Saturday as well. I've just secured tickets to the game, and it will be Max's first West Coast game. So,
boom.
Big.
You're going to wear your Arsenal scarf after you won the title? Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you. I've got the Arsenal, the colourful training kit on today. Nice. I'm just going to roll out all my Guernseys slowly through the week. So I've started at the top with the colourful one. I've got the Jamaican one ready to go at some stage. I was just going to say, you can appreciate this as, I mean, you've obviously lived both lives over in the UK and then in Australia, but geez, a Premier League title for an Australian football fan is hard-earned. There's some real grit and graft, especially when you've been waiting 22 years. So nice moment. Let's hope that the Eagles can build in the same way that Arteta has done at Arsenal. And I have some stats for you. I had like a few minutes. I was listening to a really boring press conference, so I was able to do a bit of extra research here. So
nice.
You mentioned the Eagles' pressure. So 82 tackles, 293 pressure acts. 25 of those were by an 18-year-old and Willem Dersma, 23 each for Kelly and Reid in the midfield. Our forward-half pressure for the game was ranked at 202, which is the second highest in club history. In the fourth quarter, our pressure rating was 232, which is the sixth highest quarter in club history. And at one point, it peaked at over 300, which is absolutely extraordinary. We were the West Coast pressure Eagles. We were intense, immense, and what a win.
Amazing. I spoke to a couple of the Giants boys afterwards, and I mean, obviously they're disappointed. They think they can play better, but some of them said to me just fair play. Like, they were really good, especially late on, because let's not forget the Giants surged in that third term, got ahead, and we thought, they might just pip us here narrowly. To respond like that was just so incredibly pleasing. And, we haven't potted Andrew McWalter. We've questioned him. That's all we've done, and I think that's been really fair. But that was, I thought, just a fantastic strategic day in the box and in the lead up to it from him. Because I watched the Giants closely, and I know that they have got some issues at the moment, but some guys who can really rip you apart. And their three line breakers are Callaghan and Ash with their speed and their ball use, and Whitfield with the way in which he sets things up from the back half. To put Murdoch onto Whitfield, to put Hoff onto Callaghan, which we knew would happen, but did his role superbly again. I mean, he's just found his form as the tagger when we had question marks on where he was at in the first bit of the season. And then Hutchison actually spent a bit of time on Lockie Ash. It wasn't a hard tag, but I saw him following Ash quite a bit, and he made a big difference. Ash had 34 touches, but he didn't break the game open and hurt us like he does with many other teams. And I loved seeing Hutch as a defensive forward. We've been saying it for over a year. He has one position. He's played as a forward in his junior, so he's comfortable inside 50. He can take a mark, he can kick a goal. He lacks a bit of the skills to play through the midfield. Play him as a defensive forward. He looked really good there. He puts his head over it, so he wins that free kick in the first minute because he'll put himself in uncomfortable positions. That's handy as well. And that move also was crucial. Very sad, it's getting a bit extreme, but unfortunate that Hutch is out for 3 to 5 weeks when he's just started to find a bit of form. That's a blow. But I thought Minnie had a blinder.
He had a great game. I'm not sure he's coached a better game than that so far. And you outline all the moves, which were all the right ones. And Milan on Lockie Whitfield, that was a stroke of genius. The Hoff one was obvious to Finn. And the fact that Hutch was able to do a job at times on Ash and sort of blunt his influence. It just makes so much sense in hindsight. But the commitment that Milan had to his role on Whitfield was extraordinary. I'm not sure how closely you watched it, but there were times where Whitfield would take the kick in and then Milan would be doing a full sprint to catch up with him to make sure he didn't get that next handball. So much easy ball that Whitfield wasn't able to get to direct traffic. And we know that GWS can launch so many of their attacks off half back, and we were able to stop that. And self-explanatory. the numbers about the forward half pressure. But it all came together really well. I think you can make a case for at least 5 players having their best game for West Coast. So Harley Reid's had some awesome games, but in terms of statistically and the consistent output across the entire game, I think that's his best game. I think he had 4 or 5 career highs across the board. He laid 6 tackles in the last quarter, which I think is almost the most impressive thing about the performance. And then Bailey Williams absolutely destroyed Kieran Briggs. He might have ended Briggs' career. I say that flippantly. And Kieran Briggs is he's been an exceptional hard worker and grafter. The ruck game now doesn't suit him. But Bailey took full advantage. Yeah. It's one of the first times where he's dominated a game and dominated the ruck position. And, you know, I think there's a conversation we have to have here about whether he's sort of staked a claim that maybe we do have to re-sign him. Maybe he can be the guy over the next few years to get us to eventually to CDT. I think that's Milan Murdoch's best game, and he's been good almost every week up until now, but he actually played a role which helped us win the game. He kicks 2 goals. There was something very fitting about the fact that he catches Whitfield holding the ball and slots that goal at the end from the boundary on the siren. And Jack Hutchison showed some forward craft. I think he looked good out in the lead. He looked athletic and strong, which we know he is. Yeah. He's got this amazing profile. And then as a forward, that's the most natural I've seen him look on a footy field. But then you get all...
Well, that's where he came through. That's where we drafted him, as a forward.
The great thing about it is, so we get in, I think he kicked 1 goal, maybe 2. But we get that good stuff. And then we get all the bonus bits, all the extra intangibles where at every contest he's putting on pressure. He's great at getting around, whether we've got the ball, whether the Giants have the ball. So you get everything, all the bonus stuff, plus you get some actual footy craft from him, which was great. And then Josh Lindsay, rising star nominee, and he was, again, exceptional. The more the ball is in his hands, the better. So we've had almost a fifth of the team have career best games, and that's why you get results like that. But well done to the entire team, contributors right across the board. We could go on and on about everyone, and then we got to give the entire coaching staff credit where it's due.
Yeah, that was a big one for Minnie. And I thought Tim Kelly had a great game as well. He's had a really good season, but he had one of his best games for the campaign too. And Shanahan competed again. I mean, early on, he was taking a couple of big marks. He went, all right, Jobe, that's what we want to see from you. Obviously, it would have been addressed with him. It was pretty straightforward that he wasn't quite at it for about a month before. So that was nice to see him clunking them and kicking them once more. And what about Ruben Jibby's game? Like, I watch Aaron Cadman closely. I don't think people realise how good he is. Like, he probably doesn't get enough credit because, you know, he's over in Sydney and because of Jesse Hogan probably as well.
Yeah.
But he is like a serious, if he's not an A-grade key forward, he's not far off it. Like, he's a really good player and he links them up. And to be honest, after the other 3 that we mentioned, and Cadman's the other one who can break the game open for them. And Ruben Jinby kept him goalless and completely ineffective. And he's taken some scalps this season, but I reckon that was just about his best performance because without Hogan, Cadman was so important for them and Ruben just smashed him.
I think we even said on the podcast how much we were looking forward to that matchup. And I think it suited him, 2 athletic guys, but obviously Cadman's not a monster. You know, he's more of a leaper at the ball than someone who's going to muscle you out. So that just showed that once we're in a situation where Jimby can play on a proper like-for-like matchup, then he'll be so effective for us. You know, when he's outsized and outmuscled, he tries so hard and he does a great job, but he can be even more effective when the matchup suits him a little better. I thought Liam Duggan was good. He's always going to have a couple of Duggo moments, but he was certainly better.
He was good.
Yeah, he was better.
Duggan had a good game. He had a good game.
Yep. Tom Cole was good. I think since he's come back into the team, he's been good again. He's had a couple of moments with ball in hands, but for the most part, he's giving us a lot. And in fact, all the senior players as discussed. You know, Waterman to an extent got his radar back a little bit. So effective, it's amazing. I assume he's still sitting second in the comp for score involvements, which is just quite an extraordinary record for a team that's only won 3 games. And it all just comes together really nicely. You know, Starcevic playing waffle this week, so we're 1 week away or maybe 2 weeks away from having one of the premier medium-sized defenders in the comp come into the side. You can only imagine that's going to free us all up down back. I just wanted to ask you about Liam Baker and where he's at, and how can we solve this? Is one of our best players last year, a bit down at the moment, co-captain. We can win without him playing well, but how do we solve this?
Well, he had 19 touches on the weekend, which was equal fourth most. I think his last 2 weeks have been a lot better since that forward line experiment was thankfully shelved. His confidence might have dropped off a little bit, so he's not influencing games as much. But I think the last 2 weeks were a move back in the right direction for him. So I'm not too worried. He had 4 tackles. He had important goal assist. No, I think his last 2 weeks have been better. So I think the fears have been eased a bit. And yeah, he's not a star user. He's not going to break the game open, but he sets the tone. I think the last 2 weeks he started to do a bit of that, which has been pleasing. So no, I was fine with his performance. Elliot Yeo was important again. Durs was his first half was pretty quiet. But the thing I love about him, and we're going to just grow to love more and more as time goes on, firstly, he's always clean. Like, when does he ever fumble? And he always gets a hand in, like that Inspector Gadget style that he's got. So often you'll see him just get a hand into position and tap it forward or block a handball or something like that. He just has an impact on the game with minimal touches, and he took a big mark late, got himself into an important spot down back and took pretty much a contested mark dropping back, which was important. Liked Rhett Bazzo's game from the outset. He took a couple of important marks down back and he went, all right, this is why we've been calling for him to be in the team, and he deserves an extended run at it now.
Yeah, I agree with that. It was good to see him back. Been through a lot. Hopefully his developmental curve is starting to point upwards and can for a while. Tyler Young was a bit better as well.
He was better. Yeah, probably his best game for the season.
He had 2 intercept marks and 8 spoils, I saw statistically. So, yeah, and the Giants without Hogan are certainly a different proposition because Jesse's given us some nightmares over the last couple of years when we've played them. So, yeah, it seemed like I was slightly more optimistic than you when we spoke last week about the possibility of giving the Giants a bit of a run. But you've seen the Giants up close so much. You're very well attuned to what the team is capable of. And they've given us some frightful beltings in recent times. And I think that makes it all the more impressive. And when you get these wins, they can do a lot for your footy club. And, yeah, I think everyone should take a lot of heart from that.
For sure. Well, what I was worried about was those players, a couple of them tearing us up, but we did so well to clamp down on them. What I did feel, though, was, their weakness is on ball. And if you can keep Callaghan quiet, which we did, they're so reliant on Oliver and Callaghan. And in the past, it was Green and Callaghan. And because Harley played so damn well and Tim Kelly played so damn well, Oliver had a lot of it, but we're able to eventually beat them in the middle. And because Bailey was so dominant. So that is their weakness. They don't have as much depth on ball. And because we're able to get on top of them there, it just slowed the ball coming into our own defensive half. And that gave Young and Jinby and Bazzo just that extra half a second. And then up forward, the pressure was great. Malachi Champion had a good game. That's the first time I've gone, all right, you're looking comfortable at AFL level now, aren't you?
Yep. Yeah, I like what he's bringing. And I think it might have been Tim Kelly spoke about him. He said he's very committed defensively and he's got a good footy IQ. So it sounds like he knows his role in that high half forward area, and that's what we need. We need someone who is well embedded in the style of play that's required in the front half. It's not going to necessarily be a high statistical role, and he's not going to get a lick of the ice cream every week, but he played a very, very important role for us on the weekend.
Yeah, Bailey's game was great. I don't think there's any doubt now that we need to re-sign him. I've been saying for a while that I think we both felt there's a player there. Yes, I think the question marks around his pure ruck game were justified and the rule changes helped him. But I said for a while, he played so much he wasn't ready. as a number one ruck because of Nick Nat's injuries and then Flynn's injury. Like, we put so much time into a young ruckman. It would have been silly to discard that. And because he's such a good mark up forward, he can play the second ruck key forward position really well. So he's in a great position now financially because, or is the unrestricted, restricted free agent, whatever it is, he's going to have offers coming in left, right and centre. But, we're in the box seat. So hopefully we can keep him, and it's going to be very hard for Matt Flynn to get another go at it now, which he's probably aware of. So I think Bailey, along with Cooper Duff-Tytler, has to be the way forward from here on in. And it probably will be. So that leads me on to my next question, Drew. How does Cooper Duff-Tytler get in the team this week? Because Jack Williams was pretty good too.
Yeah, interesting one, isn't it? Yeah, he came in and played his role. He certainly looked better on Sunday than he did when he played his first game of the season. I think if Duff-Tytler's freshened up and ready, then I would bring him back. Big game at the MCG.
Jack Williams goes out. That would be harsh.
Yeah, it's harsh, but he's coming back over to Victoria. He's going to have friends and family in the crowd. 90,000. It's a big game, and he's in our best team, and we're trying to win. Yep. So that would be my view. I would bring him back in. But I liked what Jack did.
I think so.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
So,
I think he probably does. The only thought was, do they give Shanahan a rest? Probably not. But I guess that's the one other thing they might ponder. Is it time for Jobe to have a rest? But also, you want to play your highest rated kids in a game like this, because part of it is sort of exposing them to what will be a finals type game. And I think that's something they're going to think about and go, we've just got to give them this experience. They'll be better for it. And it just might mean that Jack Williams, unfortunately, has to miss out, which would be a little bit rough on him.
This is an unbelievable opportunity for every Eagles player. There's not many in the squad that will have played in front of a crowd like this, an occasion like this at the MCG. I chatted to Josh Lindsay yesterday after he got his Rising Star nom. So he went for North Melbourne when he was younger, but Pendlebury was one of the players that he looked up to as a fellow left footer, and he's jumping out of his skin. For his first West Coast game at the MCG, he's played there an underage rep footy. But amazing. Are you there, mate?
Yeah, mate, I don't know what happened there.
What the hell just happened? I'll just pick up from the Lindsay thing.
Okay.
Yeah, so Lindsay, he went for North Melbourne when he was a youngster, but Scott Pendlebury, one of the posters on his wall, like an opportunity like that for him. He's a self-confessed footy nuffy. So excited to play his first game for the Eagles at the MCG. Massive crowd. It just feels like this is the week you want CDT back in the team. And, the point on Bailey Williams is I'm now starting to get this feeling that I think this is going to be a good combo. CDT is the athlete, the big jumper. Bailey Williams can do some of the grunt work against the bigger, stronger boys and protect CDT. I think this partnership could bear fruit for us going forward, and I'd love to see Duff-Tytler back in the team this week, which now, look at the blueprint that we've set, Garby. Hoffy can have a crack at Nick Dacos. We can send Milan to do a job on Houston or, a Josh Dacos, and we can try and win this thing on a big stage.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was pretty obvious. I mean, look, Hoffy will go to Nick Dacos. Milan goes to Josh. I thought Hutch, if he was there, goes to Houston because they're the big three game breakers for them at the moment. The goalie's playing well, but, I think Kelly can go head-to-head with him. Look, it's going to be tough to win it because of the 6-day break and recovering from that pressure in the last term with the young team and all the reasons around the game. But I think they will be really fired up, and they'll be very mindful that the whole nation's watching, and you've got to put in a really good account of yourself. So it's very exciting that we're exposed to this. It really is. And no doubt, the stuff being said about Collingwood circling this game and wanting a win for Pendles against West Coast, I'm not sure they've gone to that extreme, but I think the Eagles will make the most out of that. Why wouldn't they? But all the stuff around the goal jumper and the 10th minute round of applause and all Pendles selling all these stuff, there should be a message of, are they taking this game seriously? Are they actually thinking about the opponent, or is it all about Pendles? And try and make the most out of the disrespect stuff.
There's no doubt that their eyes haven't been fully on the Eagles. Their eyes are on Pendles. And that gives us, even if it's a 1% little advantage, there's no doubt. Probably the manner of our performance, to be honest, on Sunday might have straightened them up a bit this week. Because there's no doubt any opposition coach looking at the way that the Eagles played, if we can get up to a 300 pressure rating for a 10-minute period in the fourth quarter, we will trouble any team.
Yeah.
So, I'm really excited for the game. I want to keep my expectations in check because Collingwood are a good team. They're built to win. And the MCG, they play so well. But every Eagles fan should be buoyed by the fact that we've shown that we can compete with some of the better teams in the comp, and absolutely we're a chance. Just really quickly, it's almost impossible to get a ticket to this game. So if there are any Victorian Eagles fans listening who want to go to the MCG, there is a way to get to the game, but it might make you feel a little dirty. I'm not sure if you're aware of this, Garby. For $43.30, you can buy essentially a one-game Collingwood membership, and it will get you into the Shane Warne stand for the game. But it means that you'll be a Collingwood member.
I think that well.
Would you be willing to do that?
I'm not sure. If I was desperate to go to the game and I couldn't get a ticket, then yes, I would. Collingwood's got enough memberships; they're not going to notice another one. Yeah, I guess if I had to, you're going to go there and support the Eagles, so it's all right. Fair play. It's that kind of night that you just want to be there as an Eagles fan. Yeah. It's going to be such a riveting experience for us to be a part of it. So selection will be interesting. I mean, does Huey come back for Hutch? Is that the swap? I mean, the problem is we're playing Hutch half forward, and they've pretty much admitted that Hewitt at half forward's not working. They want to get him back into the midfield. So does that lean it more to Tommy Gross? But then they haven't really been that keen to play him as a half forward either. I'm not sure how they're going to manoeuvre this one.
I mean, geez, in an ideal world, being able to bring back Jamie Cripps would have been absolutely perfect for this game. He's still TBC with his knee, but hopefully he gets back in the latter part of the year. So I'm not sure, to be honest. I'm not sure what the perfect play is here. Maybe they just have to bring in a Hewitt or a Gross and just say, you're just going to have to do a job for us at half forward, and we'll put you in a few CBAs, but you're going to have to do a job. And maybe, or it could be Baker.
Yeah, or Dersma plays half forward and they move one of them and play him on a wing. That's possible. Dersma goes to Houston or something like that. He can play forward. They might have to move it around a little bit, but the team is settled right now. There's a number of players who are, deserving of a call-up, but, watching on the weekend, people went nuts about Bo Allen not being in the team, but, maybe he's had some defensive issues in his game and he hasn't quite been tracking well enough or marking his man well enough. Who knows? But they would have all watched that and went, all right, that's the standard. Like, okay, we have to be at that level to get into this team. And there aren't too many in that side that you looked at and went, well, you're in danger of dropping out.
Yeah, you could bring Bo Allen in and flick Baker to the half-forward flank for a week. Say, can you do a job for us on Houston and try and get dangerous the other way? There's options there. And hopefully the Waffle boys can keep pushing pretty hard. There's still a few prospects we've got in the front half, don't we? But they're probably not quite ready to go. Like, they need a bit more time to develop. We're probably one short there. Just quickly, mid-season draft, did anything change your thoughts watching us against GWS? Like, I sort of felt like I watched the Richmond defender, Mutaz El Noor, who looked really good. He's one of the leading intercept players in the VFL this season. I sort of wondered, would we go for the defender? Anything about Sunday change your mind?
Not really. I think, as we said last week, they'll go for a defender and then probably try bringing a ball-winning midfielder. I think that'd be the way of it. Starcevic back in the Waffle this week is really encouraging.
Yeah,
it's a big-name player to bring back probably the week after against Essendon. If not the week after, then, for another one of those home games. That's really exciting. And a shame that young Sam Allen has hurt himself. I have heard on reasonable authority that they rate him super highly. And like Minnie is talking like, when he gets back, he's in the team, I've got a role for him kind of thing. So that's worth keeping an eye on, but he's obviously had a little setback with that hammy again.
Yeah, it sounds like a bad hammy too. So
Yeah.
I wonder if they'll weigh up putting him on the long-term injury list. But it's a shame, as we know, coming back from an ACL can be so challenging for your soft tissue situation. And he was sort of ramping things up at training. Sounds like a pretty bad hammy. So, yeah, hopefully we'll get a good look at him in 2027. But, mate, I'm excited for Saturday. I'm pumped.
Can't wait. It's going to be great to be an Eagles fan and watch it. Look, hopefully if we do lose, it's not an embarrassing one. That's the worst case scenario. And then we set ourselves up for 3 home games in a row and then Carlton after the bye. And we can think about more wins now, which is going to be really interesting for many and the chances of getting an extension before the season's out. If he can have, after that Carlton game, if he's got 2 to 3 wins under his belt, I think they'll be looking at an extension just to keep the naysayers at bay for the final year of his contract.
Yeah, for sure. All right, we'll celebrate Harley Reid's 50th game in style on Saturday. In the 9th minute, Will Eagles fans stand up and applaud for Harley. But yeah, can't wait for it, mate. We'll chat soon.
Love it. Good stuff, mate. Thank you. Bye.